Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Nerd Soup. I am Reuben, joined here today with Aaron, and we are back to review Yellowjackets, Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2. First time reviewing Yellowjackets, so we'll give our thoughts on how we feel about the series overall, the first two seasons leading up into Season 3, and we'll mostly focus on these first two episodes of the new season. Thank God winter is over. But before we get into that, I want to let you guys know that you can listen to this wherever you get your podcasts across all podcasting platforms. And check out our Patreon page if you want more Nerd Soup, where we review movies and shows, we do little extras, supplementals, and yeah, that's mostly it. We're working on a feature where Teddy's going to review rap songs and give his interpretations of the lyrics, so that should be fun. He wants to do a Godfather revisited now. I'm like, Ted, that was like 5 years ago. What the fuck? You're really that late. Yeah, so Aaron, are you excited to jump into Yellowjackets? You know, we'll start with you. Get your overall thoughts on the show, and make sure you're talking directly into that mic so our audio's level. And I don't want to be the... Everyone's like, yo, this dumb Puerto Rican's too loud.
I got you.
I'm not doing any favors for the stereotypes here.
No.
My brother-in-law always texts me that. He's like, why are you so much louder than everyone else? Like, yo, chill out, bro.
Yeah, well, you're fucking spoon scraping your Greek yogurt.
It's literally like, it couldn't be more done, yet I just went back for one more pathetic scoop.
You got to get every bit, you know? Makes doing the dishes a lot easier when you lick the bowl clean.
It's so true, dude. Yeah, no, while you give your thoughts, I'm going to be over here licking.
I've enjoyed it so far. It's, I was telling you this when, you know, weaving it in between like Severance and catching up on White Lotus. It's just a fun, entertaining show. I don't know if it's as good as some of the top television shows that are going right now, but in terms of like entertainment value, I think it's definitely up there because it is just a fun story to kind of see unfold, because from the very beginning, you can kind of, they set the clues of what's going to happen to this team as they continue to struggle to survive in this environment. But seeing how they get there and kind of the twists and turns and how they kind of rationalize their decisions, especially weaving that in with obviously the present day timeline. And I think it's a show that keeps you on your toes and always has a few surprises up its sleeves. But it's at the point now where I was kind of worried about like how much more can they unfold, because with the whole blackmailing scandal and everything that's happened in the present day with Travis and everything, I was just curious to see how they were going to keep it fresh. I feel like we're getting a little little hints towards what's to come later on in the season. But I think that's my most intrigue coming in to this season is the present day timeline. What are they going to do to continue this sort of mystery that's going on here? Yeah,
no, I thought the Adam Pearson thing, well, the Adam Pearson murder.
I think Adam Pearson is the actor.
Oh, yeah, no, you're so right. God, we've been reviewing too much that everything is just kind of becoming Adam Martin. Everything's just becoming one.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Adam just turned out to be a hot guy who was into Shauna. And every new detail they reveal about him, like, oh, we identified his body because he donated bone marrow to his cousin. Like everything he was also nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. I thought there was going to be more consequence for that, but I do think it's funny that every time they reveal something new about him, he's just a swell guy overall.
I still don't trust him.
Still don't trust him from beyond the grave. What was he cooking? That's going to be the season finale. It all comes back to him. But I remember seeing set photos for season 3, and it looked like I confused it for a courtroom, and it was just Natalie's funeral. So I kind of got confused. I thought I spoiled myself. I didn't, but it ended up being a major spoiler. R.I.P. Natalie, because I thought Juliette Lewis was so great as that character. But yeah, no, the thing I've enjoyed most about the show have been the parallels between when they're trapped in the forest and the present day, because they do a really good job of tying those narratives together, where whatever's happening in the present day, there's something that you could go back to in the past, and it just informs your opinion on what's happening now and your perspective. And I think all across the cast, some of the best examples ever of casting two actors or actresses to play younger and older versions of the same character, because it feels seamless, as I said, all across the board. And I think Shauna might be the best example of those two actresses really nailing the mannerisms and tone of voice and just the overall presence of that character. So that has been, I've really been taken aback by how well they've skillfully used those competing timelines. And also the idea of, is the magic real? You know, what they're imagining in the forest, this it that they talk about, the forest god, some of the more supernatural elements of the show. I think they've really done a good job of not really giving in, whether it's their imagination or whether it's really happening. And at times, I think the death of Javi was the first time I thought they're truly going crazy. They're just trying to justify not saving this man as he falls through the ice because they're starving. But then they fall back on this god of wilderness. You know, the forest chose, so it's okay that we get to eat him. So yeah, all that stuff has been really fun. And I kind of agree with you where I really like this show. I don't know if it's necessarily an all-time great show or one of the best shows on TV, but it is very entertaining. And it looks like just from these first 2 episodes of season 3, they're really embracing the ridiculousness of these situations, especially in the present day. Like, I think Shauna and Jeff are so funny. The way that they're trying to still maintain this domestic life, loving husband and wife with their child. But at the end of the day, blackmailer, murderer, child is an accomplice to murder, as they like to joke. And I find Jeff to just be such a funny character because he's literally just a guy. There couldn't be more of just a normal person. He sells furniture for a fucking living, and he calls weed chronic. So,
do you smoke some chronic?
He's really funny. I found their dynamic over these first 2 episodes to be just kind of hysterical.
Yeah, I think that's one of its strengths. It doesn't shy away from the absurdity. It kind of leans into it, which is fun. I don't think it really takes itself too seriously in that regard. And like you said, I think the strength is in its structure, more so than, I guess, some of the dialogue and even some of the performances. I think it has some of that corny cliche, maybe network television type interactions at times, but I think it is just when it leans into some of the absurdity. I think that's when it's at its best and the most entertaining. And I really hope it doesn't lean into, it doesn't go the route of it being some supernatural aspect to it. I think it's just a more interesting story and more compelling that this is all in their heads and they're just going crazy, and kind of the psychological effects on the human brain that would occur in these circumstances. It just makes it more compelling. I feel like a supernatural aspect in the shadows would kind of diminish a lot of what I like about the show.
Yeah, because I think a lot of the issues can be explained away, like with Lottie, where they revealed that before the plane crash happened, back home, she was seeing therapist and psychiatrist, that it's something her parents were forcing her to do because of some of the mental issues that she was having. And just being away from home, now we're seeing it in season 3. You know, the first 2 seasons, because they were so helpless and they were desperate for some sort of leadership and stability, they embraced some of Lottie's eccentricities, if you want to call them that. But now in season 3, because the seasons have changed, and I like that too, that in the dead, cold winter, you're going to put your faith in Lottie as the leader. But when the birds are chirping and the flowers are blooming, it's a character like Natalie, who's always been way more logical and hesitant to embrace Lottie's spiritualism. But now, without her being in that position to lead, she's kind of going too far. We see it with Travis, where she's forcing him to take these mushrooms and, you know, this psychological connection, psychedelic connection that she believes he has with the forest that can inform them on how they can survive this summer or whatever doom is coming. Because it looks like things are the best that they've been, but television, something needs to happen. It is a drama. And then with Shauna and Thaisa as well. With Shauna, it's very understandable because of everything that character has experienced. Especially the death of her child, which was probably the best episode of the show so far. It's really hard to put it in words how emotionally draining that entire experience was. Because even when you're in the fantasy of the baby being born, you're thinking, this kid's not going to survive. And then you find out that it didn't. But yeah. Shauna in season 3 is like Ray Lewis. She might be the most terrifying character on TV right now. And she did the same thing that she did to Jackie in season 1. Talk about a great twist. I thought Ella Purnell was the fucking the box office draw of the show. But then she did the same thing to Mari, where they get into this little spat, spits in her soup, and then sends her off to be on her own. So it's like they're not learning from, the harsh lessons that we saw in earlier seasons. But she's terrifying.
It is funny because there are certain characters, like I love present day Shauna. I didn't like young Shauna at first, but now she's kind of taken the shift where anyone who goes against the cult is okay in my book, because they just all like the cultists, or they just frustrate me to no end. And even like a character like Natalie, I actually didn't like present day Natalie. I think they fell into a trap. Not to say I didn't like her, but I think they fell into the trap sometime. It's kind of like if you watch Squid Game season 2 with Thanos, it's like when you try to make a character seem cool so hard, that's your main focus, and you at every moment you try to show a character in a certain way that it almost has the opposite effect. I feel like
she was black leather jacket, spitting in a cup type of.
It's like, all right, we get it. Like, you can ease back a little. You're kind of making it a little ridiculous at this point, but it is funny to see like what characters you like present day versus their teenage versions. And I think Shauna, especially like in season 1 to where she is now, I think I favor her more, especially like Lottie and her cultist. Like, they're just an easy people to be frustrated at, because you just know sitting, at home with heat and television and fucking DoorDash, it's easy to view these people in the wilderness who haven't eaten in weeks and be like, how are you listening to them? How are you buying into this, you crazy people?
Well, I thought that was maybe the best scene of the first 2 episodes, when Van is doing the reenactment, trying to paint it with rose-colored glasses, their experiences over the first 2 seasons. And then Shauna writing down the truth in her diary. You can understand why they don't want to embrace the truth of what they've done, having to resort to cannibalism and, as you said, becoming cultists. With Shauna, she's not going to sugarcoat it whatsoever. Yeah, she is going against the cult, the collective mindset that they all have here. But she's also losing her fucking mind in a way that makes me scared for a character like Mari when she comes back to the group. And also for Ben, because Ben seems to be the one who is Ben and Natalie, and we see that Natalie is helping him out, but he's the one who's been able to keep it together the most up until this point. Oh, actually, you know what? That's not even true, because he's now talking to himself in the shadows and shit like that, but he's not going to eat anybody. So gold star for that. But he even says it, like, I didn't burn down the cabin, but they're not going to listen to that. They want blood.
But even Mari, like, I didn't forget last season. She was just Lottie's number 1 fucking cult advisor.
Well, that's the other thing about this show is, unless it's like the main 5, I can't remember anybody's name.
Well, that's another thing this show does. Like, they just make characters, like new characters that just show up.
Dude, yeah, last season, just out of nowhere. Or this season too with Melissa. I'm like, who the fuck is this?
And obviously more people were in the crash that like they didn't really focus on, but I think that's a fault on like their own fault, because you're already in an isolated setting. I think you have to at least establish some of the characters if you're going to bring them on in later seasons. You can't just be like, oh, here's this new character that's been here the whole time that we definitely remember.
Yeah, it's a Zendaya.
Yeah.
Zendaya joins Yellowjackets season 3.
And who's that? Oh, TV's Jimmy Fallon. What? He wasn't there. So yeah, that's kind of jarring every time they try to incorporate that. But for the most part, it is.
No, Mari's definitely annoying. Did you think Ben was hallucinating the rations, the military kit that he finds at one point when they showed him finding Mari at the end? I thought maybe they were going to chalk that up as a hallucination and then he eats Mari thinking it's a protein bar. But it looks like, no, that was all real. It's good find.
Yeah, good hot chocolate. I feel bad. I mean, they do that too.
Well,
where
she's dead.
You kind of have I don't know, they like hide people in the present day. Like even Lottie, like her reveal that she was around.
Yeah, that was cool and scary.
At first, you're like, okay, these are probably the only survivors because they're the only people that contacted each other when they were getting blackmailed. But it seems to be it's possible, especially at the end with the phone of the last episode, that it seems to be the blonde girl who was in a little bit of season 2, but again, a character in the far background now taking up a main plot point. So she seems to be alive. So maybe Ben can be alive, but I think he's going to be toast because he doesn't seem like somebody who would just, when they get saved, be like, okay, I'll play along to the story that nothing happens. And I'll go by the guidelines that we've set out when we do get rescued, so no one gets in trouble.
There is no possible way that Ben survives this. No way. But that is fun, the way that they play with that, where we didn't get Van until, halfway through season 2, which I thought Van actually really improved the Thaisa storyline, because that was probably, of all the adult Yellowjackets, I think Thaisa's was the weakest. And only because, the characters on her peripheries, her wife, her son, the idea that she's this congresswoman or state senator, never felt believable. She never felt like she was an actual state senator for anything. It's like you never see any elements of her life outside of, what she's kind of dealing with. But I thought bringing Van to the present day has really improved that storyline because of, Van's terminal diagnosis and, the teenage love that they have now, rekindling that and how complicated and messy it's been. But I even thought that there was a chance when they weren't showing Jackie in the present day that was going to be a big reveal down the line, that they're kind of keeping you on your toes. Does Jackie survive? Turns out she didn't. But yeah, that's been fun. And you're just kind of waiting, like you said, it could be Melissa, the blonde-haired girl, stalking Shauna now in the present day. Maybe there's still more to be revealed about what they had to do to survive. And like I said, everything looks peachy now, but who knows how ugly it's going to get, especially with all these, the forest noises and Ben and Mari being wild cards out there. So
that would be a sick, though, post-credit scene. You just hear a dark hallway, clinking, click, 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 and old man Ben comes out.
Yeah, that
would be fucking sweet.
Anybody looking for some hot chocolate? Ben? Well, I wanted to ask you, it was like, they're all kind of fucked up, but who do you think's the craziest? It's got to be Lottie, right?
Nope, absolutely not.
It might be Misty, but also
Dude, that's why it's funny that they all got fucked up by being stranded, but Misty was already fucked up, it felt like.
Yeah.
Before they even crash landed, Misty was a bit of a freak.
Yeah. And I don't know, present day Misty, I don't know if I should be concerned or if I should seek out help, but she really does it for me. I don't know.
I'm right there with you, brother.
Look, good for Frodo, man.
Yeah.
But he's live fumbling it right now, and I'm living through him right now. I'm no, come on, ease up a little, Frodo.
But it's the one instance in which the overbearing boyfriend is correct. Your friends don't like you, and they use you at every opportunity. Misty is so delusional that she can't see it. It's just, it's enough for her to be called over and tricked into babysitting for her to, just be happy to be there.
Mom?
Oh, it's okay. She invited me.
And it makes you feel bad. It makes you pity Misty. As capable as she is, as dangerous and as willing as she is to cross that line in order to protect herself and her friends, she does feel like the character you're giving a controller to that's not plugged in. So, and then giving her own Misty is really funny because she's such an annoying presence on all these other characters, and now she gets to kind of experience that as well.
Yeah.
No, but she's hot as fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, they're all hot. I think that's why I was really upset with Natalie. I'm like, yo, she's too hot to die. And like that? Come on.
Yeah, she just be fucking giving people fent. That's her MO.
Bro.
It's like that meme. It's just a picture of Misty. It's yeah, she sold me fent.
When she wasn't at the funeral and Shauna's like, I'm sure Citizen Detective Misty can figure out where the funeral's being held.
They were really mean to her.
And when they're at the dinner and she's talking into the salt, like, oh, Misty, are you listening in?
Probably was.
Every friend group needs to have that. Shout out to Nash.
It's almost like I enjoy the two timelines in different ways. I enjoy just to see how much they delve into this kind of society that they've created in the wilderness and how deep everything goes. And it seems now it's spring. It's not as dire, so it's kind of like a reflection. It's like after a long night, you're like, oh, what the fuck did we do last night, man? It's a little hazy. They kind of are reluctant to kind of fully reflect on what they have done and who they are. Where in the present day, it's like things seep in, but they're all kind of still ignoring it in ways that are probably a huge detriment to their mental health. It took Van at that dinner to just be like, that we ate people. It's like the unspoken of everything that happened in every situation when they're together as adults. But just the way they, even at the end of season 2, when they kind of delve back into the hunt and kind of their reaction afterwards, like I wouldn't talk to any of them again. I wouldn't let Lottie stay at my house. You tried to kill me. They just like immediately switch back into their younger selves in that moment. But that's kind of like all understood between them. Like, yeah, that's normal. That's the game we play.
Yeah, and it's interesting that it's Callie who pushes her parents to allow Lottie to stay, because even after experiencing that, it's the typical child. This is kind of a reach, but I don't know. My brain is kind of broken. It reminds me of Tiger Woods being obsessed with military training because his dad did it. And because he didn't get to, have that experience, you put yourself in the shoes of your parents and you go too far because you're never going to be able to have that experience, but you want to understand. And you don't know if you want to understand for the benefit of your own self, but it's just that weird connection sometimes that grows between parents and children when there's such a strong disconnect. So even when Jeff explains it to her in season 2, how could you ever truly process what your mother went through other than trying to experience it? So even though she has that interaction with Lottie, seeing them in the masks and she shoots her, she's still willing to forgive her for trying to kill her mother because she wants to understand. And like I said, that might not be a good thing. Could be a bad thing, but it is what it is. The genetics there between Shauna and Callie, where she's very much like her mother. So yeah, even though the prank that she pulled wasn't as brutal as what they were doing in the forest, it's still pretty nasty. And Shauna gets a kick out of it. And they're finally bonding, but they're bonding over something that could eventually manifest into, something that's real tragic, something that Shauna will regret and Callie will regret as well. So her character is, for someone who didn't experience that, but still to be so interested in it, she's just a freaky presence at this point. Whereas, the first 2 seasons you want to protect her. Now she's very much a part of it.
Yeah.
And it was like fun, the sleepover that she has with Misty and Lottie. Even Callie knows Misty's the most annoying one, so let's try to get her drunk enough to pass out.
I'm trying to think, because I guess they were in there for 18 months, so I think they have one more winter to go get through.
Okay, is that what they say? Yeah.
I think so. And I think in like the first episode or second episode, like when we first see a vision of the cult, I think it was the first episode when they trap somebody in the pit. I think it was snowing, so.
Oh, yeah, that's definitely second winter.
Yeah, it seems like once this summer ends, they're just going to go right back to just full-on cannibal cult. They're probably looking around. It's like, oh, lucky for us, we have a bunch of side characters that have had no development so far, so we can just eat them. Winter's going to be all right.
She hasn't been named. They haven't been named. They're just extras.
Yeah, once it starts snowing and this character we never seen just starts talking, you could just big flashing light.
Oh,
yeah, we're gonna eat her.
Fuck.
Yeah, human arm on the windowsill. The scent picks them up and draws them off their feet.
That desperation for a meal. It really makes me really thankful that I've never had to experience that, because I can't imagine what that's like. Like watching Ben eat that protein bar, that was probably the most satisfying thing he's ever experienced in his life.
Yeah, it's like a fucking cold Gatorade on a hot day. But I was just thinking, like, the longest I've ever been without eating is probably like 24 hours, and that was like a self-induced fast. Like the only time I've ever experienced anything like that is because I wanted to, not because it was out of necessity.
No, we're doing it to look good on Instagram. Summer's coming up.
What a sheltered world. It really puts things in perspective.
No, it does really put things in perspective, dude. Like the lack of, I do like how because it's spring and they get to wash themselves, they look a bit cleaner now. But I imagine for the young actresses, it's like, you get to be in this hit show, and every episode we have to make you look even more ugly. Well, okay. That's not really doing much for the prospects of my career, but fine, I guess, realism, whatever.
It is pretty neat though, like their new tent setup.
Oh yeah, I love the new setup. Stardew Valley.
I have zero survival skills. I would either be dead immediately or join the cult.
Yeah, that's why I enjoyed in season 1 the way that the roles flipped, where Jackie's Mrs. Popular, but now that they're stranded, she doesn't really have a role here. She doesn't really have any skills that are useful for their survival. And I thought at first it was going to be Misty who really leads them, because she's the one who takes that first initiative to chop off Ben's leg. But yeah, you see them the way that they're kind of developing skills throughout the time. They're helping each other out. And yeah, no, they've really made their own little Minecraft village here, farming the ducks, And it looks like Aquila is going to be a character who becomes more important as the season goes on. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw her in the present day as well. But yeah, all that stuff. I always felt like, even though it's horrible what they have to do to survive, it is like a big sleepover. Even Misty says it. Like, yeah, I've been to one sleepover. I kind of got the idea. And now this is even more comfy. The little tents and the ducks and the mushrooms. You get to get high? Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, I feel like it's a bad environment to trip out at, but I guess if you can kind of control yourself, it's wouldn't be the worst thing. I always forget Misty's the reason why they're still here.
Oh my God, yeah. She destroyed the black box, right?
Yeah.
Well, Misty also, God, Misty is so unpredictable because even her telling Shauna that Nat is helping Ben, and in the present day, she's all distraught over Nat, and that's my best friend, and she's at the bar taking all the whiskey shots. That was pretty funny. But like I said, why tell Shauna that piece of information? You're just looking for trouble.
She just wants to fit in. That's the whole reason why she destroyed the box, was because she was being relied upon, and it made her feel nice. Like, people are finally recognizing me, and I have a purpose.
Yeah, she's got to be the craziest. I'll tell you what, too. Like, if Walter was my boyfriend, why are you living with me? Let's go to your crib. Your crib is nice as fuck.
Yeah, he's a millionaire.
Well, what did you think about Thaisa and Van in these first two episodes? Van now living with Thaisa, not staying in the same room. Eventually, they do sleep together after that night out with the dine and dash, but it leads to their waiter having a heart attack. I found that to be... I feel
like sometimes they just add dramatical elements just because. Like, I don't think that's a wholly necessary thing. Like, you have all these other things going on, and it's like, and now the waiter's dead. Okay.
Right, and it's like, you know, thematically, because they're so willing to take these chances, and it still leads to somebody's death. I don't know. And then the whole moment when she walks into the sermon or the vigil, or no, she sees the vigil, but then she walks into the sermon, and she drops a book of matches onto one of the candles. I don't know if they're trying to tie that into what happened with the cabin, that maybe it was Thaisa's dual personality that burned down the cabin. Because that's interesting. I think the whole Thaisa having these two personalities, and you never know which one is going to come out. But it seems like they go away from that, and then they bring it back, and they go away from it, and then they bring it back. Like, even her kid in season 1 I found to be very, very creepy, but now he's just like a nothing character. So I was waiting for what would happen with that. But yeah, like I said, I like Thaisa and Van together, but I'm not sure if that was necessary. Poor guy.
Yeah, but also just let him go at that point. Like, why are you trying to be a hero, buddy? Sure, the restaurant will cover it.
No, dude.
Although I do think it comes out of their wages. So,
well, a place like that, you have to have a credit card on file.
Yeah,
I hate that too. When you take someone to fine dining and they're like, "Oh, do people really enjoy this?" Like, it's a one-time experience, Van. Well, get some better Jerry's at a pizza. Okay, well, you're gonna be puking.
But I almost kind of wish maybe they will. I feel like the immediate aftermath hasn't really been touched upon too much. And I think that's a very interesting thing to delve into. And depending on how long the series goes, how many seasons they go into, I wonder if we'll ever get that. Like, I'm sure we'll figure out how they survived, but like the weeks and months, maybe even years from getting saved to readjusting to normal life again.
Yeah, that will definitely be interesting. But, there is something to say about, the cabin burning down, and what did they do to survive into spring? I mean, I guess it was, they could chalk it up as a bit of a miracle. And, in the present day, it looks like it was more immediate aftermath of Natalie's death. That was funny, dude. Natalie's mom getting up there and eulogizing her in the most whatever way.
Holy fucking Christ.
Sure, Shauna. Jesus.
She's like, yeah, I pushed her. She was my daughter. I was her mother. It's over now. Like, God, no, that explains a lot. Because Natalie, she's way more jaded in the present day. And it makes sense, because it felt like she was way more well adjusted than the other girls when they were stranded. And then eventually she's just going to really lose it and fall into the pits of addiction and substance abuse. And then you get that one eulogy from her mother, and it's like, that really explains a lot. But I did find that to be funny. And even Shauna not being able to hold her tongue in any instance when her mom gets up there with the breathing machine, and she's like, Jesus fucking Christ. And just like, house of the Lord, Shauna.
Well, Melanie Linsky is such a great like motherly character, because like just the whole balance of obviously knowing what she went through when she was younger, but still trying to be this stereotypical mother figure in a functional family unit when everything is just not normal. But she always just has she's never too up or down, it seems. She's always just, well, this is the new normal now, and just try to go on as a regular family as best we can.
Where is she?
Cal?
She's gonna be home in like an hour. She wanted to get a boba.
Yeah, and she's an actress that whenever I see her, I'm never going to not be able to think about her character in 2.5 Men. Just permanently, because she was so perfect. That show, to give credit to that show's casting, one of the best casts, because everyone was so perfect for their roles, and especially her, because it's that innocent, almost naive nature that she has, where her voice is very soft. She can be soft-spoken, high-pitched, but now here, having that, tough interior and really exterior as well, because as you said, she doesn't get too high or low. She kind of takes things as they come. And
Oh my God. I'm just not gonna freak out. Okay, it's only gonna make things worse.
she's a bit, rubbery in her personality, very surly, sarcastic, and always takes the opportunity to point out the absurdity of her life and their situations. She's got no filter for a lot of these moments. And she does seem like Shauna in this version, you wouldn't want her as a mother, but she'd be a great big sister to sort of rely on, because she doesn't take things too seriously. Even when, she sneaks into Callie's room because she knows she's got the weed stashed. She's not going to be upset that Callie's smoking weed. She's going to bum some of the weed off of her. And that was one of the funniest moments when Jeff realizes that she's stoned out of her mind. And I did already bring this up, but him calling weed chronic is just so funny.
Did you smoke some chronic?
Dude is totally stuck in the 90s.
But they treat everything that happens, whether it's murder or the cops are on them or their daughter talking to an undercover cop, as like all these like major life-changing events. They treat like they got like a bad report card or like, the electric went out. Oh, what are we gonna do? We really can't let it's just it's just funny how they treat all these situations in like a somewhat normal way, when everybody else would just be freaking the fuck out.
Yeah, especially Shauna. She really is a wartime president. If you're in a jam, that's your first phone call. Because it's so instinctual for her, too. Like when she's able to, even, when she stabs Adam, because she just feels that she's threatened. So it's body versus mind when it comes to Shauna. But yeah, it is really funny when they just try to chalk up all these life or death situations as just another Tuesday in their household. But there's some secrecy here now too, because between the phone that's left at the restaurant when Shauna's in the bathroom, and also the envelope that was addressed to Shauna with the cassette tape that Callie pockets and doesn't give to her mother. So she doesn't play that tape yet, I don't think. So we still have to see what's that about. A lot of signs seem to be pointing towards Melissa. And once again, they're probably going to do these parallels throughout season 3 in the 90s, this budding relationship between Shauna and Melissa. Maybe there's secrets that Melissa knows about Shauna that the rest of the group doesn't even know as well. And I think that's how you continue to make it interesting. Because it did feel in a way like a lot of the drama of seasons 1 and 2 resolved in a way that I don't want to say it was unsatisfying, but it kind of just was snuffed out. Like even Lottie, going from the big reveal of her in the present day to her being locked up again. I was just expecting more from her character, or more mystery there.
Yeah, and I mean, they could still, depending on if you believe her story with Travis and everything like that, I think there could still be some more there with that character. But no, we're still early. We got time.
Yeah, see, like scenes that I felt like, I enjoyed Jeff when it's him, Shauna, and Callie trying to figure things out. Jeff's good as a side character, I think, for Shauna and Callie to bounce off of. But whenever they position Jeff as a character who's doing things on his own, like when he's having the meeting with the two Joels, very much just felt like a scene for Shauna to be her typical self. She's not paying attention. She's on her phone. She gets slightly disrespected. Not slightly. I mean, that was disrespectful. You know, if you talk to my wife that way, I'm not going to be doing business with you. But she's the one who, you know, just basically tells them you're insignificant. You're a Nepo baby, and my husband would never work with you because you fucking suck. And Jeff's just like, yeah, that's Shauna. So it's like, yeah, fun scene, but
I thought they were actually going to get the job. So you know what? I like the cut of your jib.
Next episode, Shauna's running their company.
Yeah. No one's ever talked to me that way. You got yourself a deal.
Just no eating anybody. Maybe a little bite. Maybe a little nibble.
They say once you taste human flesh, nothing will ever compare again.
Do they say that?
They said it on Always Sunny. It's got to be true.
Did you watch the Always Sunny Abbott Elementary crossover?
No, I haven't yet, because I haven't watched Abbott Elementary yet, so I kind of want to wait. It keeps stealing meat out of Frank's meat fridge, so he says that he put human meat in there. They all like get the taste, and like no hunger could satisfy it, but that's because it was actually rancid raccoon meat, and they have tapeworms.
Yeah, where's a good place to start with that show? Can I skip the first 2 seasons? Did they suck?
No, they're still good, but you can start from the beginning.
Okay, I'll start from the beginning. Yeah, no, this show is it's offering us, once again, I think with like the first 2 seasons, there's a lot of mystery, a lot of mystery box plot details that have yet to be revealed, and we just kind of have to wait. We have to take it episode by episode. But I do think that these first 2 episodes, outside of a couple of scenes that I found to be superfluous, signify that the season is going to be good and strong and possibly one of their best. So I'm excited to review this show, and like I said, it's a show that we haven't yet reviewed or talked about on this channel, but it's been on the watch list for a long time. I'm glad we finally got the chance to tackle Yellowjackets.
And it seems like pretty popular. I mean, it's got the season 3 production boost. I feel like it looks a little better, a little bit nicer cameras. So
oh yeah,
like, oh, we got something here. Let's put some more money into it.
Yeah, it's funny because going into this, I wanted to ask you the adult versions, who's the craziest and who's the hottest, and you ended up just answering on your own. And both were Misty.
I mean, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be the same person.
Yeah. That's good stuff. The thing is, Misty's Pele, but Lottie's very much Maradona. She's right there.
Basketball terms, please.
Misty's LeBron and Lottie's Jordan. You know, not quite LeBron, but arguably. All right, guys, that does it for our review of Yellowjackets Season 3, Episodes 1 and 2. We will be back for Episode 3. So let us know in the comment section down below. What did you think about the first 2 episodes? What did we get wrong? And what did we miss? You guys are always good at that. Aaron, thank you for joining me as always. And yeah, we'll be back for some more Yellowjackets. Yeah. Teenage Midsummer.
I wonder who won the Nationals.
Yeah, when are they going to reveal that? That's going to be the big... That's what's on everybody's mind.